Hello and welcome to this episode of the Rest is Entertainment Questions and Answers edition. I'm Marina Hyde.
I'm Richard Osman. Hi, Marina.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Before we start every episode, to sync the cameras up for YouTube, we have to do a clap.
Yeah.
And I just did a very disappointing one.
It was incredibly poor and I didn't want to say anything, but it's good to have said
it. It was bad though, right?
Yeah.
Because normally I think recently I've been getting much better.
Yeah.
That was, whoa.
That wasn't one for the critics. But look, let's begin. Because we've got so many people. First of all, I should say, so many people wrote in from the television industry after your unbelievable laying it on the line about AI, which I thought was so interesting. There are beyond too many to read out, but some incredibly excited, some very anxious. A lot of people saying they were going to retrain.
Yeah, I think there's something, we'll drip feed a lot of those things into other episodes as we come along. But yeah, genuinely thank you, because I think it makes us understand other people's jobs are not always what you think they are. And so it was fascinating hearing different things from different angles. So every single one has been read and every single one you'll hear it referenced at some point, as if it was our original thought. Can I read an open letter before we go on?
You can. It is a sign of madness, but please do it.
In the last episode, we were talking about, has an open letter ever worked? You know, the sort of letters that celebrities or academics send to newspapers saying, we the undersigned believe XXX, and we said we didn't think they ever had.
I did make an exception for Martin Luther's 95 thesis nailed on the Wittenberg church door, which arguably set in train the Reformation. Yeah,
Martin Luther, money-saving expert.
Who's written in?
Talking of Martin Luther, we have a letter from Father Pius Collins from the Priory of Our Lady of the Sorrows in Peckham.
No way.
That address gets less glamorous as it goes on, doesn't it? But thank you, Father Pius.
As a combination of things is quite riveting.
Father Pius says, to whom it may concern, concerns us, my friend. In the last episode, there was a question about open letters, and the consensus was that they never work. You might be interested to know of the so-called Agatha Christie indult. Yes, we would be interested. In the 1960s, 70s, the Catholic Church was changing the language of the Mass from Latin to local or vernacular languages. And some British artists and intellectuals wrote an open letter to the Pope, now St. Paul VI, asking for Latin to be retained. So a bunch of people wrote a letter to the Pope asking for Latin to be retained in Mass. The story goes that the Pope read the letter, saw the signatories and said, Agatha Christie, and granted an indult or permission for Latin to continue in Masses in England. So there you go. Agatha Christie persuaded the Pope.
Are we adapting this in to say that open letters work on the Catholic Church?
Yes, or if they're signed by Agatha Christie.
The original influencer.
Yeah.
Those are the absolute cast iron, copper bottom influencer. That is incredible. And indult.
For anyone at home who has a better name or address than Father Pius Collins, Priory of Our Lady of the Sorrows, Peckham, I'd like to hear it. I have a question for you, Marina. We'll start with this from Jamie Staunton. Thank you, Jamie. How are film soundtracks created? Are they composed after filming, or does a composer work to the director's vision from the outset? Jamie cites John Bryan's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind score as an example of a perfect fit, questioning the creation process for such a poignant soundtrack.
It's such an interesting field, movie soundtracks, and then you've got these great people. We've talked before about John Williams and how he worked with Steven Spielberg. If you listen to those sort of stories where Spielberg's saying to him, I'm going to need a theme or whatever, and he plays him the two notes and he's thinking for Jaws, this is so ridiculous, but okay, I'm sure you'll make it work. By that stage, she really trusted him. There's a composer called Alexandre Desplat, who is a French composer, who says that John Williams is my sort of forever idol. And Alexandre Desplat's at the sort of top of his game now. And he came to attention, I think, with Girl Up with a Pearl Earring, but he's done lots and lots of Wes Anderson films. He did Deathly Hallows. He came in for the Deathly Hallows after something was set up originally by John Williams. So he's a really interesting person about all these things. And I know someone who works with him a lot. He just did the new Jurassic Rebirth, by the way. Again, working with, trying to sort of come in and
work with someone
recreate an original John Williams thing. And by the way, that went right down to in terms of the when it happens, I know that they were recording really so close to the release of that film. So it's very interesting how late. Anyway, but I spoke to my friend Stephen Frears, who has worked on 5 or 6 films with Alexandre Desplat, and they first worked together on The Queen. They start the process very early, very early on. When you know roughly what the script would be and all those sort of things. But he says, I'm not clever enough to talk to him about music, but of course he has other talents. So he reads films brilliantly. So he said when they first worked together on The Queen, they said we need a sort of romantic melody for Helen Mirren, who's playing the Queen. And he said, I know Stephen's films very well. I'll write something witty. I'll write him a witty score.
Wow.
Because he could see that it was going to be,
Yeah.
I think what Stephen would say was his favourite milieu, which is drama with jokes.
Yes.
And it would be, and so they got on absolutely brilliantly. So he says, okay, I will go and talk to him. He lives in Paris. I'll go and talk to him about narrative and about character and about emotion and tone, things that we both understand, because as he says, he doesn't properly understand the music. And obviously then the film itself becomes an input. And then at a later stage in the process, he says, I'll take the train to Paris. He'll play his suggestions live for me, and then we'll just discuss them all, and then we'll have an absolutely lovely lunch and we'll talk about it all. And he said it's sort of amazing. It's his favourite part in any film, but basically because he loves Alexandra so much. But
also it can really elevate something. You can see something without music, and you see it with. You think, I see.
I mean, Stephen would always say it's amazing how quickly the actors know their characters far better than they come in and they know their character, and you think, my God, I've been sitting with this for a year, and how do you know more about it than me already? There's something so empathetic and osmotic really about them. And the same thing in the case of the music. And then Alexander at a certain point will come to London, and he will also conduct the full. He's a conductor as well, and he will conduct the full kind of complete philharmonic orchestra or whatever to create this sort of music. And actually, I was thinking, oh gosh, the music in Jurassic Rebirth is very good actually, and you can see sort of that it's an homage to, but also a drawing on of John Williams's work from the original. And there's some great clips of him actually conducting the huge orchestra. So that's how it works. And when it works really, really well, it's, pun intended, in concert with the filmmaker. And it's an ongoing process throughout the making of the film. Obviously, when you have as close to a final, assembly of it or a final cut of it as you're going to get, then you're really, you're making it even little individual action beats. You're making it fit.
Yeah, because presumably if a director is cutting 3 seconds out of this scene and making the transition to this scene 2 seconds longer, then the composer has to
adapt to that, and then there are certain things, and you think, oh, that was too long, and it's not. We're not going to get to where we want to be musically. During just walk down the corridor, for want of a better sort of example, and so that there's constant adjustments and refinements. But those ideas of things like character themes and stuff that we know from when we listen to movie music, and there are huge communities of people who are obsessed with film music and are completely devoted to film music and see it as it is, as this incredible art and this incredibly specific art.
And again, another sort of strike against AI, because of course AI can do all this sort of thing, but it like we talked about before, it can't get the vibe of what a director's going for, and it can't do the thing of going, I understand exactly what you want. However, what if I were to do this? And the director hears and goes, oh my God, do you know what? I did not see that in the scene. And you now, through doing this music, have made me see that in the scene. It's
completely. And I've, many times I've attended all different directors' screenings, and often directors will show you screenings and say, I just want to get some audience feedback at this stage. And you'll have, honestly, there'll be bits in the movies where there's like just a green thing and saying, here is a sea battle or something like that, because it's to come. And what they want is you to say, oh, I didn't understand this bit, the love story sort of fell away, or whatever it is, just anything that you could give them at that point. It might help them in the edit. But there's never any music on that. So it's all this kind of holding thing. And then when you hear it for the first time with the music, it's completely transformative.
If you watch a drama or a film without music, and I've done it a few times, it is haunting. It's like, I mean, sorry, what am I watching?
Yeah.
This is like,
it's
no
creepy
one's
and
watch
odd.
this.
And and you don't realise. And of course, those great scores, you can't help but think of them. But equally, there's something about not even noticing it's happening. And there's a certain sort of sleight of hand there where it can cover or it can elevate things that didn't quite work in the shoot.
On the Thursday Murder Club movie, we've got Thomas Newman doing the music. He's one of the great
he's terrific
composers. If you watch it not thinking about the music, you think, sorry, what music? And then you watch it thinking of the music, you go,
oh, I see.
Oh, wow.
He's totally got what I,
Isn't it? It's an amazing thing. And so, him and Chris Columbus would absolutely work in tandem. And as you say, send things back and forth. And something that Thomas would do would suggest something to Chris, something Chris would do would suggest something to Thomas. And, if you get those sort of, but it's usually a very,
that first Harry Potter film, which is, which Chris Columbus, so many of those themes that they go throughout all of that. It's amazing how it's such a beautiful art.
Yeah. And it's amazing how closely directors and composers work. They almost work closer with a composer than almost anyone else on set, apart from the DOP probably.
I think that's interesting, yes. And they recognise the kind of alchemic power of these people to kind of get their film to more closer to what it was meant to be in their own head.
Yeah.
From that to Taskmaster, Richard,
excellent.
another work of art. Adam Carroll would like to know, he says, I'm in an internet argument, we all are, about whether former Taskmaster contestants choose their own clips for the YouTube Ultimate episodes. I believe guests wouldn't remember enough or choose interesting clips. Wow. Richard, as a guest, can you confirm if you chose your clips or if production did?
So this is, they do Ultimate episodes on YouTube, Taskmaster. One of the many ways they monetize that thing, but because people love it. And yeah, you sort of choose your perfect episode from some of the tasks that you did. So there'll be a prize task and, just stuff you remember, and then a finishing task as well. Oh my God, you absolutely choose your own clips. No one would come and do it otherwise. If I
love the idea you might not remember something that happened on Taskmaster.
I mean, let me tell you now, Adam, the whole thing is etched on my memory and will be until the day I die. Andy Devonshire, who's the exec on Taskmaster, who's brilliant, he knows he's not going to ring me up and say, would you like to come do this YouTube thing? It's just a series of your tasks that you did that I chose. Because Andy chose the tasks in the first place and I didn't like all of them. They ring up and they say, could you put something together? And everyone is on that show has you go through the middle on that show, but you remember how things made you feel, you remember the reaction that things got. So for mine, there were a few tasks that I felt I had done very well. There's the one with the yoga balls at the top of the hill, which even to this day, people in every country in the world asked me about at book events. So obviously I had to have that there. But also John Richardson and I have a long running beef with the Taskmaster producers because of the scoring system in one of the episodes. And poor Andy, he as soon as said, I tell you what, Andy, I'm going to have the rabbits in the hat one. And he said, yeah, of course you are. So I was able to call him out on camera. But you want to be really, really entertaining. The whole show is so entertaining. And I love the people behind that show. And I love the viewers of that show. So what you're really wanting to do is just try and make them laugh again, and to have a couple of things that make you look good, a couple of things that make you look bad, and then a little bit of spice
and
at the
settle
end.
one score
and settle one score at length. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed doing it. There's very few people who've ever been on Taskmaster who won't sort of go to the ends of the earth anytime they're asked to do something else.
It must be such a life experience.
Yeah, it's great. It feels it's.
You've told me this before. Is it a week?
It's like over about 5 months. And I did it back when there was only 6 episodes. Now it's like about 40 episodes, isn't it? So I think it's a full-time job for some people. I definitely feel like I'm part of that gang forever and ever. And, little things like when James Acaster was on it and he messaged me saying, can you come down because I can use you for a task. And you're like, wow, it's James Acaster and I get to see the Taskmaster house again.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely feel part of that family. But that, if you haven't seen the Ultimate episodes, it's really, really well put together. They're absolutely chosen by the contestants. They'll say, if there's anything you need a reminder of, or they'll make a few suggestions, or that, if you say, can you show me a bit of that one that I did because I can't remember how that went, and they'll send you a clip. So, you don't have 5 minutes just to say, let's do this, 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 and this. So they'll help. But no, they are definitely not telling you what to do, which is so great, because the one thing on that show is you are being told what to do. And you're being told what to do by Andy Devonshire and Andy Cartwright and Alex. And just for months on end, they're telling you what to do. And it's lovely to be out at the end of it. And, like when a former cabinet minister gets fired and they just go on the news and they say what they want.
Yeah.
That's lovely. You can just do that. You can go on the news and say what you want.
Right. Shall we now proceed to a break and then come back and do some more questions?
Let's do precisely that. Okay. I'm also going to give you a game of A-list or not that we've played before, where you immediately tell me if someone's A-list, B-list, or C-list. Is that all right?
You may do this. You may do this.
Our lovely listeners they keep sending in names. They go, I'd be fascinated to know if this person is A-list. So I've been collecting them over the weeks, and I'm going to hit you with them.
Thanks. Let's go to a break. This episode is brought to you by Sky Cinema, the ultimate destination for the latest blockbusters. Speaking of blockbusters, let's talk about something that defied gravity, bewitched critics and fans alike, and has now landed on Sky Cinema.
What could it be? Fast and Furious? No, of course we are talking about Wicked. Wicked is here, the beloved Broadway musical, reimagined for big screen in all its glittering, green-tinged glory.
It's the untold story of Elphaba and Glinda long before Dorothy dropped in uninvited and started flattening the locals. A tale of power, perception and pointy hats, starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande.
With breathtaking visuals, iconic songs and a surprisingly sharp take on identity and friendship, it is part spectacle, part social commentary, but fully spellbinding.
2 Oscars, a Golden Globe, critically adored, and wardrobe choices that earn their place in cinema history.
If you want to relive the magic, now's your chance to get swept back to Oz from the comfort of your sofa.
Upgrade to Sky Cinema today to enjoy Wicked, more of the latest blockbusters than anywhere else, and Paramount Plus included at no extra cost.
Search Sky Cinema to find out more.
This episode is brought to you by Sky, where you can watch unmissable shows, including the brand new series of Sky original comedy, Mr. Big Stuff, starring Danny Dyer and Ryan Sampson.
Written by Ryan Sampson as well. One of those shows that is not exactly what you expect, but also such a great reminder that the mighty Danny Dyer is such a colossus in the middle of our culture and constantly surprises you.
He surprises everyone. It was almost like Danny Dyer was, I don't want to say a figure of fun because there was always affection for Danny Dyer. And then suddenly you were like, actually, hang on a second. Did he just become a titan and I didn't recognise how it happened?
Yeah, he spent a while just, doing sort of, Brit gangster flicks and being a Cockney wide boy. And then
documentaries, Danny Dyer's Deadliest Gang, Danny Dyer's Hardest Men.
Yeah, Danny Dyer's Hardest British Pubs. Yeah. And then suddenly you think, I know that Harold Pinter is one of his favourite actors, so he always had like a hinterland, and then he started appearing on TV, and he's a Pinterland.
His Pinterland is interesting.
Wow.
His Pinterland is really interesting, actually. Harold Pinter, obviously, who for a long time was arguably certainly one of Britain's greatest living playwrights. He saw something in it. Both, by the way, they're both in the East End, both West Ham fans. He saw, and it wasn't just that he saw though in Danny Dyer, and he cast him in Celebration, and then he went on and he was in No Man's Land and he was in The Homecoming. But Danny Dyer luckily didn't know who he was when he went, which is very Danny Dyer, not to know who he was when he went along for the audition, and has since, because Danny Dyer has become this kind of treasured person, everyone's like, did you know he's like one of Harold Pinter's absolute favourites, has gone back and reflected. He's made he made a really interesting documentary when he's sort of looking to try and understand Pinter, and I was looking it up and he said I was a wrong un and no one knew how to help me, and then one day I found a father figure I didn't even know I needed, and anyway he said he became the most important man in my life and that was what I needed. He said everyone needs a Harold.
That's so nice. Also, Danny Dyer is one of those people, if you turn up on a TV show and he's also on, you think, oh, we're in for a fun day here. And also, whenever you're watching a TV program or a film and he turns up, you're thinking, oh, we're in for some fun here. He's sort of he's like a one-man army to retain the Cockney language. But
yeah, he is. But also, you just don't know what's going to happen. I remember even when watching live do you remember when he emerged literally out of nowhere as a political commentator? We'd had sort of 2 years of not being able to do Brexit. And suddenly he was like on some random political show. I believe the other people on the show were like Jeremy Corbyn and Pamela Anderson. Can't believe stuff went wrong with our politics. Anyway, and Danny Dyer suddenly just like went nuts about David Cameron, like, where is he? He's sitting somewhere, trotters up. He needs to be held account. He kept shouting, he needs to be held account. You're correct. He did need it to be held, and maybe still does. But it was so funny. It was like, what can't he do?
It's absolutely true. I'd watch him on a film. I'd watch him on an entertainment show. I'd watch him on Mr. Big Stuff.
All episodes of Mr. Big Stuff Series 2 are available on Sky, and Series 1's there too if you'd like to trace the spiral back to its source. Requires relevant Sky TV subscription.
Put your trotters up and enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. Would you like to play A-List or not, Marina?
I would like to play an unplanned version of A-List or not.
Excellent. This really is unplanned. Hello, everybody. This is A-List or not.
How many names have you got?
I'm not going to do all of them because I've got 45.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine?
If you think there are 45 A-listers, everyone, wake up.
I'll maybe do 10 or 12.
Okay.
But I'm going to read you out some names. You have to tell me A-list, B-list, or C-list.
I'm going into a sort of, I'm going into a seance state. A fugue state, yeah.
Yeah, so you're just going to vibe this, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown.
A star on Netflix. She's A on Netflix, but she couldn't open a movie in theatres.
So not A-list.
Okay. She's A on Netflix. She's like the premier A on Netflix.
Julia Roberts.
A.
Brie Larson.
B.
Jared Leto.
Very difficult revelations recently. B falling. B falling rapidly.
Steve Carell.
Ooh.
It's a good one, that, isn't it?
It is a good one. I actually think he could be A-list with the right picture. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
He could be. Because he's just so loved. I want to say A, yeah.
How about that, Steve? She's very hard to crack. We're putting Steve Carell on the A-list. Harris Dickinson.
Honestly, people couldn't pick him out of a lineup, but he's incredibly good. And he's going to be A-list. He's incredibly good.
Alec Baldwin.
Well, I mean, B and falling.
Kate Blanchett.
Used to be an A-list. There's no question these people used to be A-list. Kate Blanchett. Blanchett's still A because she's going to get you an Oscar. And so you're going to put her in those sort of movies and she's going, A.
I would
A
love,
without question.
I would love an Oscar. Sean Penn.
Sean Penn. Well, Sean Penn is no longer going to open a movie for you. So he is heritage B.
Okay, Cruise, but not Tom, Penelope.
Oh, I mean, she's lovely. I'll put her at B.
Brad Pitt.
Well, A now. I mean, I'm surprised. I think people turned out for the cars and the brand, the F1 brand, but he was always an A-lister, and there's a certain fascination with the private life. A.
Tom Holland.
A.
I meant that Tom Holland from The Rest is History.
Podcast A plus premiere.
Yeah. Okay. Jeff Goldblum.
B.
Cynthia Erivo.
Oh, don't be stupid. B. Wicked is the star, not her. Ariana Grande is the star.
Emma Watson.
Oh dear. No, I mean, she's just B. Are you going to go and see an Emma Watson film? You're not going for the acting.
Wow.
What? It's true though.
Wow.
What?
I like her. Daniel Radcliffe.
Well, I mean, what projects does he do? I mean, B? I can't even say a B. I mean, of course, they've been in this thing where the IP is the star. This is the whole problem with this whole thing now, is that we live in an era where the IP rather than the actors are stars. So it's very, very difficult. Actually, if I'm really being honest about Tom Holland, who I mentioned earlier, what is a Tom Holland project? Normally, it's a project that fails, unless it's Spider-Man, in which case it's the biggest movie in the world. So he kind of straddles these two things, and he's in a very A-list couple, and therefore I put him in A. And I think I'm sure he's a lovely person. I think people absolutely love him. But Tom Holland projects mostly don't go right.
Wow. Do you know what? Tom Holland's watching, literally listening to this.
Listen, he'd be the first to say, look, he didn't get the ratings he wanted on that.
He wouldn't be the
mental
first
health
to say that. He'd be like the 50th person to say it. He probably wouldn't mention it. He'd been watching this going, I've absolutely aced this.
Well, listen, he should keep doing Spider-Man movies because they're the biggest films in the world when he does them.
Yeah, I suspect he probably will.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't, you're making me play the game and I'm playing it.
Also, I used to work with his dad.
Did you actually?
Dominic Holland.
Oh, yeah.
The comedian.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay. By the way,
Then A.
No.
Dominic Holland.
I put him in A in the first place.
Okie dokie.
As you know.
I'm going to give you one final one.
Okay, last one.
I want you to think about this one. I think this is a good one. I knew that Steve Carell you'd find interesting.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're going to say to this, but I'm not absolutely certain. Keanu Reeves.
He's an A-lister. There's no question. Keanu Reeves is an A-lister still because it performs very, very well in those big franchises. In the same way that actually George Clooney, bizarrely, who hasn't necessarily opened well in movies recently, but he went and did Good Night and Good Luck on Broadway, and it became this sort of mega, mega thing. I'll tell you what, when Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter from Bill and Ted go and do that Jamie Lloyd production of Waiting for Godot, you wait and see what the lines for that are like. I mean, it'll be unbelievable. And Keanu Reeves is in a huge, huge franchise that performs very, very well. And there's something about him that transcends all of that. And he's remained Keanu Reeves. He's never become a difficult man, Richard. I think he's only sort of accrued in love and respect amongst people. He's an A-lister.
I was talking to someone who did his makeup the other day, and she likes him very, very much. But he was doing a thing about motorbikes, and he's in front of a load of Hells Angels. She said he'd been just tinkering with this thing, and his face was covered in grease. He said he did not look great. He said, but she saw all these Hells Angels in front of him. She just walked up to him and said, listen, you need makeup, but I'm guessing you're not going to let me do makeup in front of all these guys. He went, you got that right. And off she toddled. And they both go, and we were both perfectly happy.
Oh, I heard a story of on the last John Wick that they were doing. They were really in a hurry for everyone to get the light. They were moving from one shot to another, and it was just right at the end of the day. And there was this person who was just like lumping everything along with all the grips, and it was Keanu Reeves.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, everyone loves Keanu Reeves. Everyone loves Keanu Reeves' latest relationships. Everyone loves all of Keanu Reeves.
Tom Holland's going, not only was I downgraded, now I've got to hear about how great Keanu Reeves is.
Everybody loves Tom Holland too. Everyone loves Tom Holland too, including hottest woman in the world, Zendaya. So there we go. I mean, he's an A-list.
Thank you so much for sending in all those names. There's loads more left, so we didn't read yours out.
Forever.
I will do that another time because genuinely, I love how much effort Marina puts into it. It's literally...
Zero, I'm doing it off the cuff. But
I know, but it takes kind of psychic effort, I think.
So we're going to move on now, and we're going to talk about the cost of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Okay.
Richard Reynolds, Ryan's brother, has been in touch. Says, today my 13-year-old son Rex
Reynolds is a good name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, today my 13-year-old son Rex, amazing name Rex Reynolds, told me that by the time the much delayed GTA 6 is released next year, it would have cost more to make than the Burj Khalifa skyscraper in Dubai. Surely not, says Richard. No one is spending billions on creating a video game. Are they? He asks leadingly.
Oh, Richard. Hello, Rex. By the way, of course Rex is right. Richard, of course you know your son is right. He's absolutely right. I mean, there have been very, very expensive video games before. I think Spider-Man, that was like about 400 million. Cyberpunk 2077 was 400 million. But yeah, this is costing around about 2 billion. And the Burj Khalifa itself cost between 1.4, 1.5 billion US dollars. So Grand Theft Auto 6 is more expensive than the Burj Khalifa. But I tell you what.
Built by slaves? I'm kidding. Of course I am. I always kid.
What, Grand Theft Auto 6?
What do they call it? Crunch culture.
Crunch culture? What's crunch culture?
When they, in the gaming industry, where they work, like make them work absolutely round the clock. And they just try and iron out everything, and people are just like not sleeping at all. Actually, it's
got very dark very quickly.
Yeah, it did.
But it seems, I think, worth spending. So it's coming out, and we've got a definitive release date, which any gamer will know is 26th of May, 2026. I saw a recent thing saying they reckon in the first 60 days, this is going to gross over $7 billion. Grand Theft Auto. It's one of the great works of art of our time.
That's more than 70% of the entire Hollywood box office.
Well, you said before Hollywood needs to break about $9 billion a year
to kind of stagger on in its current form.
Yeah, and this itself in 60 days will make $7 billion. Isn't that incredible? Rex, because you won, you're allowed to call your dad Ryan for the rest of the week. So yeah, Ryan, I'm ever so sorry. Rex is absolutely correct there. It costs more than the Burj Khalifa, but it is going to make an awful lot more than the Burj Khalifa as well. Although actually I don't have the receipts for how much money Burj Khalifa makes, presumably with high occupancy.
The developers don't either.
Yeah, presumably it may. Yeah.
Presumably, I understand it's something of a wild west out there. And even, I mean, TV's got very expensive. Certain bits of TV that the streamers have. I mean, the Lord of the Rings, that was so expensive. That was something like 58 million Rings of Power per episode.
Wow. So
Stranger Things has got very, very expensive. That's about 30 million per episode. I mean, lots of Taylor Sheridan things are sort of 22 million an episode, which is becoming quite expensive. The most expensive movie that we know of, but remember there's all these accounting fiddles, is Jurassic World Dominion, which cost 453.6 million. But actually I think one of those late stage Avengers won a huge amount. I think maybe Age of Ultron cost a lot more than they ever said. And I think it was sort of terrifying that they couldn't actually say it out loud.
But in these years where we're obsessed with the budgets for movies and the take of movies, the idea that a video game of all things has a $2 billion budget and it's going to make $7 billion.
And we still don't really know how to talk about them, which I find so interesting. We don't have proper criticism of them, isn't given anything in a tenth of the high status as movie criticism. We don't really understand how to talk about things that don't have stars necessarily. Traditional forms of media have just completely lost this medium. A different form of criticism or not, which is watching some people you like play it on YouTube or on Twitch or wherever it is.
By the way, if I was Rockstar Games and I was listening and I still had time, I'd get a character called Rex Reynolds in there.
It's quite a Rockstar Games name.
Yeah, because it could sort of be anything, right? Yeah. I mean, listen, a wrong'un, but it could be any sort of wrong'un.
Could have a turn. Could have a heel face turn.
Yeah.
That about wraps us up, except we do have our bonus tomorrow, which is moving along the great arc of our discovery, our quest to discover the greatest British sitcom of the last however many decades. We are moving on this week to the 90s and the noughties.
We'll be revealing the top 3 sitcoms voted for by our members in both of those decades and opening up the voting to discover the best sitcoms of the decade. It will all culminate in 2 weeks' time in voting for the greatest British sitcom of all time. But if you want to hear behind-the-scenes stories about all sorts of things, I'm not going to tell you which ones because that will give away the top 3s, but you could probably guess some of them. But the sitcoms of the 90s and the noughties, that's tomorrow.
If you're not a member, you can join at therestlessentertainment.com. Otherwise, we will, as always, see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.